Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to talk about some short books that you can definitely finish by the end of the year. So once again, welcome back to my channel. I am so glad you decided to click on this video. So it is currently the very end of November as I am filming this, and I know we're all kind of starting to get maybe a little anxious about what we'll read for the end of the year. Now, I fully support not having any reading goals, in that I fully support not worrying about a certain number of books and hitting a goal in that sense. So please don't think that I'm like, if you don't have a goal and you're not making it, then you whatever. It's totally a personal thing, and I am very supportive of you either way. However, I personally have a goal set at 200 books for this year, and I'm sitting right now at 179. However, I have like 30 pages left of a book that I am going to finish after I finish filming this video. So let's just say 180. It's not unheard of for me to read 20 books in a month, but like that is definitely more than I usually do. I would say I usually end up somewhere between 15 and 18. So this is gonna definitely be a challenge for me. I wanted in this video to recommend some books that I've already read that were really either short books or just like quick reads, just really flew through them, and kind of just give some pointers out if you are looking to get through maybe a quantity of books in the next month. And these are all books that I fully recommend as quality as well. So I'm not just suggesting we read crap because we want to get to a certain number. These were all books that I very much enjoyed and that I personally recommend. So I'm going to start with a book that you are probably so tired of me talking about, because I have had to have mentioned it at least in 5 to 6 videos this year, and that is Nothing to See Here by Kevin Wilson. This is one of my favorite books of the year, so you're going to hear about it again in another video later. This is 288 pages, and it is such a quick and sweet book. This is about children who, when they get agitated or upset, they just like catch on fire, and they are sent to live with their mother, who doesn't really take good care of them. And basically their father is a politician who doesn't really want anything to do with them so much, and his wife, Madeline, something like that, I'm gonna say Madison, calls upon her former roommate from boarding school to like be their caretaker. And it goes from there because she doesn't have a whole lot going on in her life. She doesn't come from wealth or anything, and she decides to take care of them and kind of goes from there. So this was a book that I just adored. It was just a light of it was just a ray of sunshine and sweetness, and I really, really enjoyed it. And again, it is pretty short, so you can definitely knock it out quickly. Next is We Spread by Ian Reid, another one that I have mentioned time after time because this is also one of my favorite books of the year. So this, I can also just side note, I want to recommend any of Ian Reid's books. He also wrote Foe and I'm Thinking of Ending Things. All pretty short and all worth the read, in my opinion. This is about a woman who's getting older, and she has a fall, and her partner, before he passed away, had arranged for her to go live in this like retirement home, nursing home type area. And so she really is resistant, but she does go. It's already been paid for and arranged. And when she gets there, she starts to like question everything that's happening, that has happened. Like, she really just starts to lose the concept of reality. And it's really interesting because as the reader, you're like, is she the one that's right and everyone around her is like gaslighting her and making her think that she's crazy? Or is she really kind of losing a little bits of her sanity little by little? So it's really interesting. It's really scary in the sense that like it's scary to think about getting old. So, but I loved it, and it's pretty short. You can get through it quick. Definitely recommend the audiobook. I really enjoyed it. The next book I want to recommend is Nothing But the Truth by Holly James. This is 304 pages, and it really is just a super quick read that you will love. This is sort of rom-com, cutesy little book, but there's a lot more to it than that. It tackles power imbalances, sexual misconduct in the workplace, and I did read this right after Roe v. Wade was overturned, and it was just a really like empowering and motivating book for me. The main character is someone that you will like really, really root for, and the premise of this book is kind of think of the movie Liar Liar that was like from I think 1998 or something like that. Like if you've seen that movie with Jim Carrey, that's generally the premise, but it is so much more than that, and this is a book that I just adored. The next book I want to recommend is Birds of California by Katie Cotugno. This was just a really unexpected delight for me when I read it maybe a year and a half ago or so. I did recently speak about her upcoming book called Meet the Benedettos, which I love just as much, and I definitely recommend when it comes out. But for now, this is the one I'm recommending. This is about a woman who was like a child star, and she's just really happy to be out of the spotlight. Her co-star on the TV show she was on called Birds of California has gone on to be very successful and like really enjoyed the spotlight and being in the public eye and making TV shows and movies. But his show ends up getting canceled that he's currently on. His agent starts like avoiding his calls, and basically in order to kind of stay on top, he is approached to do a Birds of California reboot. And the only way that he can do it is if his previous co-star, Fiona, will join him in this endeavor. And she's really resistant, but then they end up doing it, and it goes from there without telling you the ending, which you can probably guess. But it was so fun, so funny, and just like a really sweet time. I feel about this just the way that I felt about Meet the Benedettos, and so I think if you like books about kind of like celebrity culture, that you'll really like this, and it really is such a quick read. Next, I'm going to recommend a book that is a little bit longer, but it is such a just speed through it type of book, and that is The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. I have only read 2 of her books, so I can't recommend like all of them, but I feel that her books are just really bingeable, and I think that if you are interested in like a fast-paced thriller, you could probably read any of her books pretty quickly because that's just the kind of tone she follows. This book has been all over TikTok and Instagram, and it just like kind of was a little bit of a sleeper hit last year. It's about a woman who has just gone out of prison, I think. Am I remembering this book correctly? I'm pretty sure she's just out of prison, and she gets a job as a cleaner and kind of housekeeper for these super rich people that like basically didn't require a background check or didn't care, I can't remember. But she doesn't have a lot of options for her life going forward, so it's not like she can just be choosy about a job at this point. So she becomes a maid, and she lives in like an attic apartment, and weird stuff kind of keeps happening. Like the woman of the house, the wife Nina, is very like manipulative and gaslighty. She starts to kind of maybe have an attraction to the husband, and she like finds out that like when she tries to leave her room in the middle of the night that like the door is locked. So very weird stuff happening in this house, and kind of, I don't want to say anything else, but if you like that kind of just really fast-paced book, fast-paced thriller that you can just kind of binge in one sitting, this is a good choice for sure. I'm just going to add an addendum that like additionally The Coworker is the other book that I've read by this author, and it was the same sort of situation where the chapters were short, they were engaging, and is it like a masterpiece of literature? No, but like if you're trying to get through a book quickly, this is definitely a choice. The next book is one I did a vlog on earlier in the year, and that is The Golden Spoon by Jessa Maxwell. This is a book that I will say like it wasn't a super duper favorite or anything, but I could not put it down, and at the end I was like, this was not my favorite book of all time, but my God, am I going to be picking up the sequel? Like, it was definitely one of those that it was fun. It like really got me invested, and it's kind of like, imagine like the Great British Bake Off, but make it murdery. So that would be a good way to describe it. It is 288 pages, and it's just like fun. It's just a fun read. For all of my viewers who love a really weird book, I have one for you called Aesthetica by Ali Rowbottom. This I read, I think, about a year ago, and it was just kind of mind-blowing. It's 264 pages, so very, very quick, and I know at least my copy that I had from the Aardvark book box has pretty big font and big margins, so 264 pages is probably honestly an overstatement about how many pages it really is. So this is about a woman who was an influencer, was like very big on social media, and then she had all this plastic surgery and just when she was younger. Now she's 35 and she is tired of looking like a stranger, and she's tired of feeling like she's not in her own body, and so she decides to have all of her surgeries reversed in this new procedure called Aesthetica. That's kind of where it is. She's kind of reflecting on her past and just preparing for this surgery. I think it's one of my favorite things about this is that in the present day, like before she gets a surgery, she's working at what they call the black and white store, which is funny because it's so obviously Sephora, but anyways, that's just like a funny thing that I think. So if you like a kind of weird, out of the ordinary type book, this is definitely one to check out. Next one, we are going back to a Kevin Wilson book, and that is Now Is Not the Time to Panic. Love, love, love this. It was such a kind of unexpected surprise again. Like, I read this before I read Nothing to See Here, and I was like totally taken with this book and could not believe that I hadn't read a Kevin Wilson book prior to this. So this synopsis is kind of like chaotic to kind of explain what it's about, but these two teenagers are like living in Tennessee, I think, in the 90s, right around the Satanic Panic, and just lots of trouble making of sorts. So they're just bored teenagers in the summer, and they're both really into art. And as the summer progresses and they're closer, they collaborate on this art piece that has this phrase on it that gets into people's brains. I'll read it to you and you'll know. The edge is a shanty town filled with gold seekers. We are fugitives and the law is skinny with hunger for us. That is it. I'm starting to read the next sentence. So these posters, they like make copies, they hang them everywhere, and people in the town are getting like freaked out. And then there are like kind of copycats that are doing it like across the country. And so everyone is kind of freaking out. And these two kids are like, we did all this, oh my gosh. And it's like a total secret. And so the beginning of the book starts when, like, in present day, the woman gets a phone call saying like, I know who you are, I know what you did, like I know, nothing came, it's just kind of wild. It's just kind of wild and a ride of how much like the simplest act can like turn into chaos. So I thought this was amazing. I definitely recommend it. I kind of feel like I want to read it again now after talking about it, so maybe I will do that. But yeah, pretty short. Definitely recommend the audiobook as well. It is read by Jennifer Goodwin, and she does a fantastic job. If you enjoy YA books, I recommend Blackout by Danielle Clayton and several others. This is sort of a collection of short stories, but they're all kind of set in the same time, and they kind of all join together at the end of sorts, if I recall correctly. So it's about a bunch of young Black teenagers in this summer in New York when the whole city loses power. And it's just little stories of different people during the blackout, and like how they're all trying to get to, I think, like Brooklyn because they still have power. It's something like that. I've read this a long time ago. But it's just a really good collection of short stories, and I always think short stories are pretty easy to get through anyways. This is only 256 pages, and honestly, the authors of these stories are just, it's like every Black young adult author of a book that you love. Danielle Clayton, Tiffany D. Jackson, Nick Stone, Angie Thomas, Ashley Woodfolk, and Nicola Yoon. Like, all incredible authors. And this book was just a really, really nice read. It's like definitely focuses on like Black joy, which is just something that I really like reading. And Again, a short book. And to round out this list, I am going to recommend Later by Stephen King. This is only 248 pages, so if you want to try a Stephen King book, but you're intimidated by the length of most of them, this is definitely one to pick up. This is about a kid who can see dead people and talk to them, and I believe it is his mom's girlfriend is an NYPD cop and knows about his kind of secret power and like recruits him to try to like help solve a crime in the department, and ends up, you know, she's obviously kind of using him and he's a kid, and so it goes from there. And I thought this was really, really good, really interesting. There's one part at the end that, like, if you know, you know, that's just like, why did we need to do this? We did not need to do this at all. But just ignore that part. I mean, you'll know it once, if you read this, you'll know what it is, but I'm telling you, it's like the last chapter only. So definitely not a reason to not pick this up. So yeah, really short, really fast-paced, and like just a really overall solid book. So those are my recommendations for short books if you are trying to round out the year with like a nice even number, or you're trying to hit a goal. I also have a video which is audiobooks that are under 10 hours. If you listen to it at any kind of faster speed, obviously it's going to be shorter than 10 hours. And I find audiobooks just the way that I can get through books fastest, because I listen when I'm cooking or cleaning or walking, doing errands. And so I can like finish an entire book and not even realize, because I haven't sat down on the couch and just like read a book. So definitely recommend that if you're trying to get through some books before the end of the year. And otherwise, I think there are a couple repeats on this list and on that list, but whatever. I will link it up above and also down below. If you enjoyed this video, I would love it if you would give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would love it if you would. If you made it to the end of this video, drop me a watch emoji in the comments, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!